The latest. Thank you for your love and support. Are all in all the Savior, the Protector, the Messiah? Captain Ibrahim Traore fired two officials for their absence at work. These top officials were absent for 6 days from work. And with the vision that Captain Ibrahim Traore is having, he did not take this lightly. And with all the insurgencies and the insecurity, we know what is happening in Burkina Faso currently. So these top officials just can't vacate posts for this number of days. So our all in all thought it wise that they have to move aside for people who are willing to defend and safeguard the nation to come and take their place. We know the oppressor is not ready to give us the freedom, and they are all looking for any slightest chance and mistake from your side to strike. Even when you are all together, intact, and there's no any loophole, the oppressor is not backing down. How much more when you give him the chance to penetrate? This is the time that we all have to put in all the seriousness that we need to protect the African continent and our nations. United we stand, divided we fall. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Burkina Faso.
You see, recently President Traore dismissed two high-ranking military officers who abandoned their duties and refused to show up for work. However, some people have criticized Traore's decision to dismiss these officers, calling it an attempt by Traore to show that he is in control. In a country such as Burkina Faso, which is constantly faced with the threat of insecurity and terrorist attacks, it is very important that all hands, especially those in the military, are on deck to deal with the insecurity. This is why President Traore decided to dismiss two top military officers who went missing and abandoned their duties for 6 days. This was not a matter of them taking a day off or sick leave. It was a clear case of dereliction of duty. Interestingly, the two officials had very important roles to play in the Burkinabe military, yet they went ahead to abandon their duty. One of the officials was a commander who was responsible for logistics. If you have been following any military operations, you would be aware that logistics is a very key area in any military operations. So, this commander's absence from his duty wasn't only an inconvenience, but it could have disrupted critical supplies and coordination for troops on the front line. Imagine if an attack had happened in one of the Burkinabe remote villages during the period of his absence. Now, the other official, Commander Bel Mamadi, was charged with leading the Burkinabe ground troops. It is a well-known fact in the military that the ground troops with their leader at the helm are very important in any military operation, especially in the case of Burkina Faso dealing with terrorism. This means that the leader of the ground forces has to be present and never out of sight at any point in time. Yet for 6 days, this commander was not present. The disappearance of these two officers from their line of duty is a violation of military protocols and a mark of undisciplinedness. However, instead of just suspending them or giving them a light punishment, Traore decided to dismiss them. To some people, this is a very harsh punishment, but the fact is that this move by Traore is very necessary. You see, it might be harsh, but it would certainly send a message to the rest of the military about the need for discipline, loyalty, and control. Some people, however, have criticized Traore's decision as a power grab. What this means is that these people think that Traore dismissed these officials in order to show that he is in charge. He wanted to make an example of them and use the opportunity to strengthen his hold on power. In simple terms, these critics have described Traore as a dictator, but from what we can see and say about Traore, he is clearly not a dictator. The dismissal of the top officials might seem harsh, but let's not forget that Traore's government is a military one. It is not a civilian government where indiscipline is the order of the day. In most African countries that practice so-called democracy, you would agree with me that a lot of things are not working in the various government ministries and departments because the officials are not disciplined and loyal to their jobs. Take a visit to some of the government offices and you will be shocked at how things are done. The government employs civil servants and public servants to work in these ministries and departments, yet some of these workers do not even turn up at work for months. These people are referred to as ghost workers, and yet they receive salaries from the government monthly. There is no sense of accountability from the government and from the workers. However, for a country to work, everyone including citizens must play their part. This is why President Traore had to dismiss those top officials. It is harsh and might seem dictatorial to some people, but the fact is that it is necessary to instill discipline, and it shows that there is accountability in the military. This is why when some military officials in Burkina Faso decided to cause destabilization by orchestrating a coup, Traore did not hesitate to arrest them and put them on trial. President Traore wasn't always as tough as this when it comes to dealing with the incompetence and actions of his military officers. You see, when Traore first came to power, he experienced his first assassination and coup attempt. The people who carried out this attack were members of the Burkinabe military, whom Traore knew very well. However, for some reason, he decided not to do anything about it and pardoned them. Traore revealed that he knew the people who launched the attack, but he decided to let them go scot-free and discuss with them. He also revealed that money was distributed to influence certain people to remove him from power, but he told them not to fall for it. It's not exactly clear, but maybe this was part of the reasons why a second coup attack took place. This soldier might have thought that Traore was a weak leader and that it would be easy to bring him down. So, almost a year later, the second coup attack took place, followed immediately by a third one, in the same month. However, this time President Traore didn't take the approach he took the first time. He decided to take a stand against those soldiers going against him. Traore didn't let the perpetrators go scot-free. He launched an investigation into the attack and discovered that 3 military soldiers were involved in the plot. They were subsequently arrested and charged with involvement in a military plot, breach of military orders, plotting against state security, criminal association, and endangerment. Although President Traore has experienced 7 more coup attempts, making it a total of 10, his stance as a strong leader has been reinforced with each attempt. The fact is that Africa needs strong leaders like President Traore, who are not afraid to make hard decisions. If the presidents of every African country can follow in the footsteps of President Traore, there is no doubt that African countries would be working better because everyone would be accountable. Since Traore came to power, he has been making hard decisions for the benefit of Burkina Faso. First, he had to reclaim the independence of Burkina Faso by ending the colonial pact made with France. This ensured that France no longer had any right to enforce its military force in Burkina Faso. Following this, Traore kicked the French military out of the country. Honestly, Traore's actions take guts and courage because not many leaders can do so. Previous Burkinabe presidents have been content with the status quo, allowing France to interfere, meddle, and exploit its resources. However, Traore decided to take a new path, one that was free from the influence of France in its affairs. Secondly, at a time when it had become the norm for African countries to only partner with Western countries, Traore did something different. President Traore recognized that Western relations have not benefited Africa over the years. He has even said in some of his speeches about how the West has exploited Africa for its own benefit, leaving the continent in poverty. This is why he made the hard decision to break away from Western relations and develop relations with non-Western relations. Traore has, however, been criticized for his decision and even tagged as a dictator for choosing to partner with non-Western countries such as Russia and North Korea. However, President Traore is a soldier and a man with a vision and has refused to budge from his stance. He remains dedicated to building relations with non-Western countries regardless of what the West says. And other countries including Mali, Niger, Chad, and some other countries have followed suit. Another hard decision that Traore has taken is the decision to suspend Western media from covering news related to Burkina Faso. This decision was taken earlier this month after a controversial discussion was aired on the Western media house, Voice of America. The discussion was centered on the insecurity crisis in Burkina Faso and its neighboring countries. However, speaking on the issue, the Superior Council for Communication, CSC, accused the VOA of undermining the morale of troops both in Burkina Faso and Mali. The council specifically objected to a description of a recent attack in Bamako as courageous, and added that VOA's coverage of the security operations was unfairly critical. The CSC announced that all synchronization of national media with international media is suspended until further notice.